This week was very exciting in the world of electric cars, from Model 3 rumors, Model Y rumors, all the way to animal testing by Volkswagen. We're going to definitely talk about it all right here, right now at E4 Electric, your number one source for what's happening now in the world of electric cars. And we're going to start right now. Alright guys, I hope you had a good week. This certainly electric car universe had. Definitely wanted to say hi to everybody who's already in the chat room. For those of you guys who are joining, welcome. We're just gonna hang out and cover some news that happened this week. A lot of interesting, exciting, and some sad news that happened. So I'm gonna go in the chronological order. And we're gonna start with the saddest story of, I don't know, a year probably. I know we talked a lot about this, and so after this big Dieselgate scandal that happened a couple of years, well, it happened actually 2014, but it just got uncovered recently about Volkswagen basically specifically writing software and putting some hardware in their cars to fool testing equipment in America so they can pass the regulations on how much crap they're emitting into the atmosphere in their diesel cars. And it was discovered kind of accidentally. They were cheating everybody perfectly fine since, I believe, 2019. And at some point there was this organization in California, and they started trying to help the diesel car industry, and they started to notice that here in the United States the diesel cars are much cleaner than in Europe. And they said, you know what we should do, we should help them out. We should see why the cars here in America are a little bit cleaner, and tell them over there in Europe, say, hey guys, you should do this thing, right? So they started testing these cars, but because it was kind of like non-profit organization, they weren't doing this expensive testing in labs, right? And that's what the software, Volkswagen software, was written for, right? They were like, oh, this car is in the lab and being hooked up to the testing machine, let's put out a completely different reading. Well, these guys literally put a machine inside the car and took everything, like the literally duct tape kind of a thing, from the exhaust pipe right in the machine that was riding in the car. Now, they were testing 2 Volkswagens and 1 BMW, and they were testing them. BMW was within norm, what they expected for the United States, but then Volkswagens were like 40 times more than what they even expected. So they naturally thought that their equipment was faulty. So they started looking into their equipment and realized that the equipment was actually perfectly fine. So they started going back to the car, and that's how they've kind of discovered that all this time Volkswagen was cheating. Of course, it became Dieselgate, what it's called now. They got uncovered here and in Europe. Other manufacturers also got some of the blame because they were doing stuff that wasn't really cool, but we're just going to concentrate on Volkswagen for now because that was a humongous story. Volkswagen ended up paying up to, I believe, $30 billion for this and penalties. You know, they still trying to retrofit those cars because they, you know, they're still on the road. I believe 11 million cars were affected. So it was a big deal. And as things have, like, their sales suffered, and as the sales actually started to go back up in 2017, this scandal broke. And apparently when back in the day, while they were cheating everybody out of the you know, fumes testing, they also got together with BMW, Mercedes, and Bosch. Bosch is the company that makes, like, they're suppliers most of the time, but they're also working on the self-driving software as well. So they got together, they've paid this group in Europe that was supposed to do testing on how the modern diesel cars are so much cleaner than the old school diesel cars. Now that company, that research group, has hired a company here in the United States to do the actual research, and now come to find out they were using monkeys. They were using 10 monkeys, literally locked them in a cage, exposed them to the fumes of Volkswagen cars, but also like old Ford cars, because they were trying to compare old and new, and made them watch cartoons, and then they took samples from their lungs to see the effect. And this is where, you know, this is where the line lies with a lot of us animal lovers and just animal rights people. And this was exposed recently. I believe New York Times broke this story. There was also a Dirty Money series on Netflix that was also talking about this story last Friday. Not all of their series, just one show is going to be dedicated to it. And a lot of people are outraged, including myself, because not only they were trying to they were doing animal testing while they were trying to really do human testing on all of us on how diesel fumes we can take before we die. Really, and to be honest with you, I'm not really kidding, because in Europe, I believe, I think it's around the world. The last year, there were 72,000 deaths, premature deaths, that were linked to any types of lung diseases and issues that were caused by diesel fumes, because in Europe it is a problem. Anybody who's been to Europe recently knows that anywhere you go, you're really feeling diesel, fumes in your lungs, especially in the industrial areas and big cities. So it is a problem. I remember it still, and I haven't been there in 25 years. So this is a story that broke. Now, interesting fact that Russian state television reached out to me on Friday, and they interviewed me about this for their show that literally just aired in Russia. And that is a humongous show. It's called Time. It's their Channel 1 state TV, like the main channel. Over 10 million viewers, so I'm kind of excited that that many people hopefully got to see me. I don't know if my interview got cut or stayed. If I have a copy of it, I will probably bring it to you guys maybe on Monday or Tuesday once I have it. Let's see. Yeah, so a lot of people were also, a lot of you have commented, a lot of people are thinking about boycotting Volkswagen, though I have to say Volkswagen took like the main blame for this, but BMW, Mercedes, and Bosch are just as equally as guilty in this. It's just Volkswagen has such a bad history with all of us really recently. So a lot of people are boycotting it. A lot of people are obviously saying, listen, Volkswagen, German manufacturer, gas testing on, living beings just brings up bad memories and just so now I'm wondering how bad this is going to get, because the story kind of went up, and I don't know if people are kind of over it. I hope they're not. It's pretty brutal. Now, Nigel in the chat room says UK changing laws after the Volkswagen cheat. They have been fined $1.5 billion, but would have been more if law had allowed. Okay, yeah. I mean, this is one thing I hope we can learn. I hope we can learn to have better regulations, better oversight, and better laws for punishment for not just car companies, but just in general, just greedy companies who are literally experimenting on all of us and risking our health and killing us, if you think about it in some ways. Now, I know Volkswagen paid a lot of money, and but it's good to see that that UK passed some laws that next time, from what I understand, Nigel, you're saying, next time it's going to be much harsher if this really happens again. I hope it really doesn't. Yeah, see, Thomas CZ in the chat room was already saying Germans added again gassing things. Not so fun facts. The Nazis founded Volkswagen. That is true. Volkswagen was founded in Nazi Germany, and this is why this is such a bad association for a lot of people. Hussein in the chat room says, I want to know about Faraday Future. Well, let me know what you want to know. I mean, they're a mess. They're a mess. They've ran out of money. Then I guess they got $1 billion. Nobody knows from whom. They've been run from by a crazy guy who's literally in trouble in China for borrowing a lot of money and not paying it back. He's literally been blacklisted. Now they're suing one of their previous employees. It's a mess. It's a shame, because I mean everybody kind of had high hopes for them, and I don't know if they're going to survive. I mean, I thought they were going to change management and maybe survive with this new injection of money, but if they're going to be run by the same guy, I don't think they're going to survive. Let's see. I do love Volkswagen camera under badge, says Nigel, in the same breath almost. Louis in the chat room says, yeah, every German needs to sign the petition for allowing Tesla to build more superchargers. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Germany, as we know, Germany has been kind of trying hard to prevent Tesla from selling there. They've kind of put that law about a regulation, I guess, where you can really collect a rebate on electric cars if the car costs $60,000, which is pretty much what Tesla's costing in Germany and more. Tesla tried to go around it. Germany really got upset about that. Banned Tesla sales, kind of all, not sales, but sorry, I shouldn't say it. Banned Tesla sales and incentives altogether. I mean, obviously, all the German cars, their manufacturers have a pretty strong lobby, and they don't want Tesla there, and they don't want Tesla anywhere really. So they're spending all this time and money on this instead of maybe putting more effort into electrifying their fleets. Some of them are, but some of them are just cheating. Let's see. DRK in the chat room says this is one of those studies where you have to ask what idiot doesn't know the outcome before even doing anything. The animals and humans testing, mind-blowing. Now let's go back to human testing. Now they did test it on 20 humans, but they were volunteers. I mean, I'm not saying they didn't get paid. They volunteered to do it. You know, monkeys did not volunteer to do it, obviously. So if you're human and if you want to risk your life or your health and get paid for it, I mean, it's unfortunate unless someone's taking, you know, advantage of you, but at least you're consented, right? The animals never consent, so that's why animal problem is more than that. But to me, they are doing a human testing on us by emitting all this crap into the air while smiling and saying, no, we're not. So that's really the problem. Yeah, yes, I mean, obviously, here's the thing. Every time any company wants to prove their a new product is better, they have to do an independent study, right? So yes, we could probably all have told them the right answer, what it is, that the brand new Volkswagen, especially the one with the cheating software, would do better than the old Ford pickup truck. But nevertheless, they need to actually hire an independent company and pay them. So that's kind of a business as usual, and I understand that. But by the way, those study results were never published. That's another thing, and that was even before this whole thing, this whole scandal hit. Let's see. Nigel in the chat room says maybe Tesla do a study feeding monkeys batteries to check if they're dangerous because of obvious. It's obviously sometimes I had not released breathing and fumes or diesel or petrol would be bad. Yeah, I mean, just like I said, I mean, I know sometimes studies are done on something that's really obvious, but they kind of have to do it because they need to claim that this statement they're making or this commercial that they made for their product is actually, you know, proven in an independent study or something like that. Now, it's interesting, when I was doing the interview with the Russian state TV, they were asking me if I thought that Volkswagen and other companies just kind of it was an oversight, it was kind of a mistake that they didn't really, you know, learn about it on time, I didn't really know, or it was kind of on purpose. And you know, my view on this is this. I don't think that on purposely they decided to say, you know what we should do? We should torture some animals while doing a study. So I don't believe that. I don't believe it was on purpose. I also don't believe that they were like, well, you know, we, you know, hired a company, they hired some other company, we don't know anything about it. Oh my God, you know. No, this is not their first time in business. By the way, there's history of this from Nike to Apple, hiring companies that hire companies that had some shady practices, and it comes all back to you. It's very easy nowadays. It just, somebody has to be whistleblower, somebody has to find out. Everyone's got cameras, everyone's got Twitter. Things spread like fire, right? You just gotta create a creative hashtags and you're good to go. So I don't think it was either one of those, because I think it was negligence, because every company, especially a company that knows that they need some information about how chemicals affect humans, they know that, you know, there are going to be some possible living beings that they're going to be testing it on. So each company has its own set of morals and standard guidelines. I'm sure Volkswagen does too. And they also want to do business in countries within their community standards as well, right? So on top of that, they hire people specifically to oversee all of their projects, all of their products, and all of the people to make sure that those people who are doing work for them or the contracts that they hire all operate within their guidelines of morality and the way they want to do business and the community standards. So those people either are bad at their jobs at Volkswagen and Mercedes and BMW, and therefore people who hired them are incompetent as well, or they've decided to look the other way, which is also negligence, but this is criminal negligence. By the way, in the Dieselgate for Volkswagen, they have one guy go to jail, and the company itself was also was also prosecuted criminally. By the way, guys, let me just remind you that this show and this channel is sponsored by Evanex, the aftermarket accessories for Teslas. And if you're thinking about shopping there, buying something for yourself, for your car, go ahead and grab your personal discount code that they've created specifically for this community. It's in the description of this video. And speaking about contributing money to the show, Bruno Alves in the chat room just dropped $5. I really appreciate it, my friend. No comment, but I appreciate it anyway. I should also, based on that, give a shout out to my Patreons, people who contribute on patreon.com. The link is also in the description. It's expensive to produce a show. As you know, I just also flew to Las Vegas to cover CES, and all of these videos on my channel are now out about CES. So I thank you for my Patreons, who also get exclusive content, behind the scene footage as well. So if you want to become a Patreon and contribute to the show, I appreciate it. But thank you guys for already doing it. Once again, it's in the description of this video. Let me catch up with some comments before we move on to the next story, because this story is just depressing the hell out of me. Let's see. The Tomas CZ makes an interesting point that maybe Tesla has one of those filters in Model X because of all the diesel fuels around. Not an ironic point, I have to say. Louis, you are correct in the chat room, and we're going to cover that story in a bit as well about Model 3 and its sales in January. People smoke and pay for it. That does not make it right, says Ben in the chat room. I don't want to get into the political discussions, but as long as people know what the effect of whatever it is they're putting themselves, then their adults should make their own choices and responsible for their own well-being. Helmuth P in the chat room suggests that we should rename Faraday Future to Faraday Past. Touché. Touché. Let's see. Gregory Bell says the carbon dioxide meter would be a hell of a lot more accurate than measuring that. Talking about the testing of monkeys. Well, that's the thing. They took tissues from their lungs, right? That's not something that meter can measure, but I really do believe it's unnecessary. I understand sometimes, and I won't get into a whole new conversation, but sometimes, if you're trying to look for cure for cancer for a greater good, then some humane animal, experiments might be okay. But in this case, you're right, there's just no reason for it. We could have figured that out on our own. Louis in the chat room says the German companies were trying to prove emissions word car. I don't even know this big a smart word. Carcinogenic. Oh, carcinogenic. After who said they are. Bruno Alves says, hey, Alex, great videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate the $5. I will make sure to buy myself some hot chocolate later on as I drive to Santa Cruz with my girlfriend and our friends. Thank you so much. The study is very, very stupid, says Sagafoda DE, but in my opinion, the criticism is much exaggerated. Well, I guess it depends, right? If you're an animal lover, if you believe that torturing animals is wrong, if you believe animals should have some rights, then it is a big deal. I know some people look at pets as kind of property, as a things almost, and again, I don't want to get into it, but even those companies admitted that this was wrong. And I don't think the study was actually exaggerated enough, because if nothing happens to Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes sales because of this, then it wasn't enough. And let me go back to that graphics. I don't know why oh yeah, because it was my Patreon graphics. Here it is. The Mission E, we will talk about it in a second. Let's see. Hi from Portugal, says Tony. How are you? Hope you're having a good Sunday. I know it's the end of the day there. Stupid adults do stupid things, says Nigel. Absolutely agreed, but they're loud as long as it's not hurting other adults around them. That's my personal belief, I think. They are talking about banning diesel altogether in Germany, says Paul in the chat room. I hope so. I mean, it looks like a lot of countries are moving forward to banning gas-powered cars by 2030 to 2040. You know what? That kind of leads into my next story. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it, because here in California, we just passed another set of kind of regulations to and a budget for electric cars. They're really trying to electrify our state here, and they're targeting, I believe, 3 million cars by 2030 2025 or 2030, some crazy number, not in a good way crazy. I really was kind of expecting that they were going to ban sales of gas cars by 2030, but they're just kind of targeting a certain number, which is pretty doable here in California. They also kept the $2,500 rebate, which is great, but they never upped it. The expectation was that maybe they will up it a little bit, especially when everybody was thinking that maybe the federal tax rebate was going out. So, and they have put up together a pretty big budget for it. I think 1.5 or 2.5 billion dollars here in California. So where's it going? I mean, I hope it's going to the charging networks, but I really was hoping they were also going to put this into the rebates, which they did not. So that was kind of a weird and disappointing story coming out of California this week. Saga Photo D says, I work in development in hard lung machines many years ago, and we have to do some animal testing by law, and these animals are dying. Well, I mean, that's very unfortunate. Again, it depends what you were researching, and there is a humane, if you will, way to do testing on animals. And again, it depends what the research for. But if you want to prove that the cars that you've rigged and cheated are cleaner than they really are, and that's for that you're going to torture some animals, I think that's wrong. Let's see. Have you discussed the comments made by Sandy Munro regarding the Model 3 teardown, says Curious San in the chat room? I have not. You know, this, you know, I'm gonna hold my opinion, you know, for a little bit, because it's easy to criticize a car when you tear it down and say, well, I think that I could have done this better, right? It also, you know, it needs to be compared to other cars, similar cars, and there are no similar cars right now for this. And also, you know, I guess, what are we learning with this? I mean, go ahead and reply to me if you want, Curious San in a chat room. I'm trying to hold my opinion about it for just a little longer, but I don't really again know what it is that you is there a question or is there a concern that you have? Let me know. I'm more than happy to discuss. Who is the World Health Organization? Is asking Louis. I don't know. I don't know. If you drop a Volkswagen over a cliff, it bounces. Must be test that. Good point, Nigel. The Porsche Mission E, when is it coming? All right, Hussein, I will jump to that story just for you, my friend. I was kind of going in the order of how things have happened, but yes, Mission E. Let me just find it and scroll. Wow, we have a lot to cover, guys. So I'm going to try to go just a little bit faster. Mission E story. I don't see it, guys. Oh yeah, here it is. Here it is. All right, so Porsche said that they are now building the facilities and the line for the Mission E. They are looking at production by the end of the year. They're going to try to target 20,000 of them per year production moving into the next year, but they're also going to try to make sure that it's scalable. I don't think they can sell more than 20,000 a year. I mean, there's going to be relatively expensive cars, $76,000 and up. That's the expected pricing. But they're moving forward with this. There's more announcements. They're going to be kind of unveiling their car. I mean, we kind of know what it looks like. It's definitely not going to look like their concept right here. It's going to look a little bit more like Porsche Panamera, but they've already kind of said that they are working on their automated facility to produce this car, and it is happening. They're expanding one of their facilities, I believe, here in the United States. So it's exciting in terms of that they're really moving forward to it, because a lot of people expected that, hey, this new electric car models are coming out. Will these companies really have issues like Tesla might have had? But it looks like Porsche are on track with this. So that's the news that was coming out this week. Let's see. Hello from Fresno, says Angat Gill. How are you? That's just down the street from me, about an hour away. You could run the diesel engines on peanut oil, which is what it was designed for. Or is that nuts? Asking Nigel. You can't let go of that story. Let's move on. Let's move on, man. I'm gonna try to cover some other 1,000 stories that we have in the queue here. There are much very bad news and opinions about the German automakers. I lost many monkey because of my Volkswagen diesel, but the automakers are changing their opinion in their moment extremely. I'm not really sure what you mean. I just kind of read your comment and I realized I did not understand, and I'm sorry if you meant something different. Oh, I see. Louis says, who stands for World Health Organization? It wasn't a question. Okay. Where are these cars going to charge? Are they rolling out the chargers as they get ready to go into production? So, DRK, this goes back to our discussion of where people should charge their cars, even their Teslas. And I believe it's at home. I believe it's, you know, that's the only way where you don't spend really much significant time on charging your car. And you probably mean about maybe long distance travel. And now I've reported, I believe last week, that now there are 3 fast charging networks that are being built in Europe, and they're going to total in like 700 or 800 fast chargers that are going to be much faster than Tesla's superchargers actually, and they're targeting 2020, by which, you know, some of these cars are finally going to be hitting the road. So in Europe, that problem is kind of solved, or at least on the same level as Tesla. I think that's still superchargers are not really the final answer to this problem, but the here in the United States, yeah, you're gonna have to charge it at home. A lot of times Porsche or any kind of I don't want to say exotic but expensive car would be your second car. So a lot of these people will have another family car, or that they will drive on long distances. As a matter of fact, not a lot of people want to take their $100,000 car, gas or electric, to drive long distance. I mean, there's tons of crap, you know, coming out of those semis and bugs, and just, you know, it's something that a lot of people just don't do anyway. I don't know why people think that $100,000 cars are just a perfect way to travel long distance. So, but no, that problem hasn't been solved. You know, we'll get, you know, it's funny because the comment of the day I had yesterday, might as well cover that for now, was about my idea. And I mean, this is what I think should happen to resolve the problem of battery degradation and fast charging. And I think a lot of people misunderstood, like, you know, EV owner here, that's the comment of the day yesterday. And I see a lot of comments about that comment because I brought it up on the show yesterday. I think people misunderstood. My main idea is for batteries to be leased, right? So when you buy a car, you don't really have to be stuck with the battery that you buy. You know, just like with everything, your phone, your alarm clock, everything that you use kind of comes with a battery. So you can upgrade it or change it or recharge it and so forth. I don't really understand why it should be any different for cars, because, you know, you buy a car and let's say you're concerned about battery degradation. Well, if you lease your battery, someone else is going to worry about it, first of all. And secondly, your needs change. Maybe you have a small commute and you go to work every day 20 miles and you bought yourself a small battery. But then you change your jobs and now you commute 1 hour each day, and now you play, you know, basketball in a recreational league and you have to drive there, and this battery is no longer good for you, and now you have to be stressing out about, you know, where to charge during the day. If you have a leasing service available, that battery would be swapped, or you'll pay more monthly fee for a larger battery. And therefore, there has to be battery swap to make sure that that happens. Now, that battery swap, I also would propose that would be available on long distance travel, like superchargers, or, you know, and that will cost more money, of course. And yes, there will be some company, whether it's the manufacturer itself or some other company, that will have to grow an inventory of batteries and figure out how to charge them fast and build these swapping stations. And by the way, I'm not suggesting that this should be done right now to the existing cars. Somebody has to design the battery swapping technology and the design so it doesn't damage the car, it doesn't wear the car out too much. And those companies will charge you money. They will take the brunt of the cost of the batteries and having to charge them and swap them. And you pay them for their service. I definitely would. So I think I just wanted to clarify that, you know, people kind of jumped on that, but I wanted to make sure that we are clear on that. Curious Sense says, I wouldn't take Sandy Munro's comments very seriously. Note his tone about Tesla. He seems very biased in a negative way. That's exactly what I'm saying. I think this is why I wasn't really covering it, because it did feel to me like just kind of a project to bring Tesla down rather than to have something positive. Even if you find something negative, you can still say, well, okay, well, maybe we can do a better job there, or this is the reason why they did it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't cover all the haters' stories that are coming out about Tesla or really any other car. Any news about the conference call on the 7th? Asks Bruno Alves. I think the only news is going to be on February 7th. That's all we know. I mean, we're obviously expecting the biggest news from them is, you know, how many Model 3s they've delivered, that, you know, what is their revenues, what their plans are, how they are on cash, you know, which kind of brings me to another story that we were talking earlier this week, which is Tesla's raising another $500 million to kind of sustain their Model 3 production ramp up, and this time they're doing securities that are backed by their Model X and Model S leases, and I believe they haven't done it yet, but I believe they're already oversubscribed by like 14 times, meaning like there are 14 times as much of a demand on this, and that only answers the question as far as if Tesla will ever be in trouble financially and go belly up. As you can see, Elon Musk never ever has problems raising money, and it looks like he's going to be fine this time around as well. Let's see. The German automakers are all changing their opinion about EVs. They're not so bad, says Saga Photo DE. I mean, yes, they are changing their minds, but not because they want to. I think it's because they just don't want to lose their market share to other companies like Tesla and just other existing companies that are switching to electric cars. So I think they're being dragged there rather than innovating and leading the way. And I'm not saying they're bad. I mean, I know they're capitalist companies that need to make profit, and they want to make sure that they do right by their shareholders, but I wouldn't call them, you know, innovators exactly. Reach Sound 56 in the chat room. Welcome. I don't think I've seen your comment. People in apartments can't charge at home. That is correct. And some people were saying how here in California we have a law that, you know, if you live in an apartment complex and you want a charger, then your landlord absolutely has to install one at your expense. I gotta tell you, I checked with some property management companies. They're saying it's not true. I'm gonna check with a couple of attorneys and bring that to you guys. But yeah, that's correct. If you live in a condo, or even if you're a renter in a house that doesn't have a washer and dryer outlet in the garage where you can charge, you're kind of out of luck. And even here, you know, I did this report that here in California, we really, in Silicon Valley in particular, we have a lot of electric cars, but we don't have ability to charge for apartment complexes. And I'm just thinking if that could be a problem as far as selling Model 3 cars, that usually people who buy them here, you know, live in condos and apartment complexes that don't have and live in $1 million houses here. And the reason I say 1 million is because that's an average cost of a home here in the Bay Area, unfortunately. Louis in the chat room says South Australia is working with Tesla to give batteries and solar to 50,000 Australian homes. That is correct. That is a story coming out today. We'll see what happens from that. But Tesla in South Australia are really making the best out of it. Absolutely. Let's see. I think I missed a couple of comments there. Moonray & Associates has done tear down of BMW i3. Companies pay big bucks for these reports, says Ben. That is true. I believe the Mission E becomes a production car by the end of the decade, says Flynn 567. Actually, they're going to be a production car by the end of this year. That's what they are basically targeting, and that's always been the plan. They're just going to ramp up their production. What they're hoping for is 20,000 units per year, which I think is still pretty bullish. We'll see how it sells. Reachdown 56 says, I'm lucky I own my own home, so I do charge at home. I hear you. I'm even luckier than you. Not that it's a contest, but my apartment complex installed a Tesla charger here for me, so that's great. But which also means I can't buy a non-Tesla electric car because you know, I'm gonna have to use at the very least an adapter, but sometimes there are problems with that as well. So I'm just saying that is not as common. But yes, you can rent a home, you can rent a townhome where there's a washer and dryer in your garage, and you can kind of have a splitter between your dryer and charging your car. So that's actually a solution that I recommend for those who want to rent, but they are still okay renting maybe a home or townhome. That is a solution for you guys. Tobish Ender in the chat room says it will take years until these is a substantial Ionity fast charging network. He's talking about one of the 3 charging fast charging networks that are coming out in Europe, and that is I don't think I would say years. 2020 is what they're targeting, and they're already building them now. But there are 2 others now I believe it's called Mega E and something else E. But I mean, this particular one, the Ionity that you mentioned, they are targeting 400 by the end of 2020. And I think that's pretty realistic. I mean, you know, but at least they're doing something. I'm just saying, once all of these cars are going to be out on the market, hopefully that demand is going to be met by those three fast charging networks in Europe, and a lot of them are being sponsored, and a lot of monies are coming from the actual car manufacturers and themselves. All right, I'm losing my voice a little. Nigel says, my battery lease on Zoe up last month, not available to update to bigger battery yet. 3 more years on lease, so 6 years old before I can change. Well, so Nigel, this was just my idea in the perfect world. I don't know if Zoe, if you can actually upgrade your battery. I'm assuming you just have just one battery option for Zoe, or two. Correct me if I'm wrong. He also says the Israeli company did this battery swap thing for previous Renault, which failed and they went bankrupt. I mean, Tesla did the battery swap too, and it failed. But the thing is okay, let's do something that doesn't fail. Let's do something that actually works. Let's make sure that we design everything correctly. There's a company that knows and has a good business plan on making money on this. And, you know, so yeah, I mean, sometimes things fail, but it doesn't mean it's just bad, right? Remember there was a company here in, I think it was called Evan, here in the Bay Area, that was provided grocery deliveries to your home, and they failed. That was like 10 years ago. But guess what? We tried it again, and now there's Safeway delivery, there's Amazon Fresh deliveries, right? People deliver all the time. There's Uber deliveries also. So just because it didn't work, it doesn't mean that it's a bad idea. It just means it wasn't executed well, or it wasn't the right time. Paul in the chat room says BMW offered me a battery swap for my BMW i3 for $7,000. Battery swap, you mean like your battery went bad and they just wanted to put another battery, same battery? Or they were trying to upgrade you? Clarify that, because I'm assuming you just mean the first thing that I said. Sorry I'm late, says Monkey Right. Hi from England. How are you? You're not really late. We're just hanging out here talking about different types of news that happened this week. Paul says German car companies are scared as hell. Inside their heart, they hate electric cars. I agree with you, Paul. You know what? And that's fine that they're scared, but maybe they can do something about it. Which, okay, that brings me into another story that we had this week coming out of Mercedes. Which, you know, gotta give them kudos. Yes, I know they were part of the animal testing scandal, and I really hate that. But at the same time, they got serious this week. They've invested a bunch of money, and they've committed to a bunch of factories. I believe 5 different factories for creating and assembling, producing electric cars. They are moving forward with their GQ. That's not GQ. That's a magazine. EQ series. Why did that totally escape my mind? With their EQ series, EQC, I believe, is going to be their car on the market. They're trying for the next year, but they have definitely tried. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and ban this guy right away. Have a good time. All right, so yeah, so Mercedes has actually been trying harder. I had a report about them and about their efforts and interviews with some of their representatives from CES, which you can see on my channel. As a matter of fact, you can see all CES videos on my channel, including this one. This one came out. Let's see if I can find it. This came out a couple of days ago. This is about Chopong Motors, a company that nobody ever heard of, but yet they're in production. They're selling this. They call it Tesla clone, which I'm not really sure why. This car already in China. They were kind of hiding from me and everybody at CES, but check it out on my channel. And 8 other videos about different cars like a Mercedes-Benz, a Byton, Nissan, and just it was really exciting time. So if you guys haven't checked them out, just go ahead. It's in my electric car vlog section on my channel. Ben says NIO is planning a van charging station that goes to you, EV. Is this a good idea? I love what NIO is doing. So first of all, NIO is planning to sell their cars without batteries if you want to, and they have a leasing leasing offer, a program for that. I love that. I think this is going to work. And they're planning on charging vans that will drive around and charge your car. Now I don't know how energy efficient it's going to be, but hopefully it will be. So they're doing 2 things that I think is exactly what the future needs to be. Actually, where I work here, at a company, and there are a lot of other campuses here in Silicon Valley. We have a gas charging vans coming around and charging your car. You can, order this through your mobile app and leave your little gas tank door open, and they'll come in and they'll gas your car. So this NIO is doing exactly the same thing with electric cars. Love the idea. Gregory Bell says someone asked a question on another YouTube video about an owner of a Model 3 with its quality, and said if Merc is a 10 out of 10, what is the Model 3? And the owner said 3 out of 10. Listen, this is why I'm trying to stay away from all this kind of a private party or small company reviews of Model 3. Because it's really hard to dig in and see, like, well, why is it 3 out of 10? What is your measuring stick? Are you comparing it to another electric car? What is it? Is there an equivalent? Are you comparing it to a gas car? Is anybody specific paying for your study and so forth? I mean, a lot of people have opinions on the Model 3, but bottom line is they're going to make mistakes. There are going to be some things they're going to have to correct like they did before, but at least they're doing it, and they're doing it freaking well. Let's get to that story, because I think this is something that will answer your question as well, because, Model 3 is the best-selling electric car so far this year. Let me repeat that. Model 3, with all the production problems and slowdown and criticism and everything, is the best-selling car this month. Not the Model S or the Model X, which are fine cars, not the Chevy Bolt, not the Nissan Leaf, not the Toyota Prius. By the way, this is United States, and this is including the plug-in hybrids. I can go down the list, not the BMW i3, none of those cars. It is the Model 3. They're doing something right, people are loving it, and whatever little issues or big issues even if they have, they will be corrected. That's just the price of innovation. That is the price of moving us forward as the entire civilization, really, if you think about it. Because without it, we're going to just continue driving Volkswagen bugs that are rigged to poison our lungs. So that's your other choice. Porsche doesn't have a supercharging network, so relies on the slow chargers for the electric cars. Says Louis. Yes, they rely on at-home charging. They're going to have a decent range, but also they are relying on the network that they also were partially invested in, which is one of these three. I think they invested into two with the Volkswagen Group of supercharging or fast charging networks in Europe. And again, I think it's not going to be a problem, because when you're driving a $100,000 car, this is not the car you're probably going to take on long trips traveling, and also you probably have a main car that you're going to do it with. But for daily driving, Porsche Mission E is going to have a perfectly fine range. Back to Model 3, best-selling car. I expect that this car is going to continue to sell well. By the way, you guys wanted me to let you know the actual number sold. According to Inside EV, there were sold 1,875 of them. There's another, I think, I forget the name of another another report that I saw that said as many as 3,000 that were delivered. But I expected this will continue to ramp up, and Model 3 will be a best-selling car for a long time. Let's see. Porsche is kind of late to the party, says the Thomas CZ. 8 years late to the party? I wouldn't say that. I mean, they may be a couple of years late to the party, but, remember Android? They were kind of late to the party because iPhone ruled the world. Well, guess what? There are more Android phones being sold every day by far than iPhones now. So, I mean, you never know. You can come in and you can come in late and do very well if something that you're doing is people enjoying something that you're doing. So they're late, but I think they will be fine if they do it right. By the way, guys, since you're while you're watching, let's participate in something. So Tesla has unveiled an extension to their referral program, which I'm not a big fan of, but nevertheless. Now, one of the new things that they're offering is to ride in, do exactly what I'm doing here, is to actually get behind the wheel of a semi-truck, a Tesla semi-truck, and ride around their racetrack in Hawthorne, California, at their design studios. Now, you don't have to buy a Tesla this time around to do that. So, all you have to do, and I'm hoping you will use my referral code that's in the description of this video. If you click on that referral code, you will see that they will ask you for your email address to sign up with their newsletter. If you go ahead and do that, you will enter yourself and me to for this little lottery that they have in order to get there and to drive the truck. Now, for myself, I'd love for as many of you guys to do that, even if maybe you're not interested in Tesla newsletter, but just do it for this community so I can get there. I can get my video going and report that for you guys. And just like I said, thank you for my Patreons who are probably going to pretty much sponsor it, because there's going to be another expense. It's not cheap. Thank you, Patreons. It's not cheap to just get there and then stay overnight and so forth. That's a lot of money, but nevertheless, go ahead and click on the link in the description of this video so we can enter the drawing. I think I'm up to like 40 or whatever. So let's see if we can double it, and by the end of the day. So that would be kind of cool. Yeah, so it's something that I wanted to let you guys know. I am not, like I said, I'm not a big fan of this, because I think it was already confusing. I think the prices on the same levels were different in price. They used to offer only prices for like people only with kids for one level, then people only with houses with another one, and the top of price was where you have to spend your own money to travel and be at one of the unveiling events, which a lot of people just don't really care about. They would rather have something that they can keep, but anyway, I digress. I'm not a fan. I think when you used to get $1,000 and the person buying $1,000 was the thing, that I really liked it. By the way, for the next 3 months, whatever your first referral is, if you refer somebody and somebody did buy Tesla, you and that person will get $500 on both accounts in what they call Tesla coin. But really, it's just Tesla credit with their, whatever it is that you want to buy, whether service or merchandise or cool hats or whatever. So if you guys don't mind doing that, please go ahead and click in the description of this video. There's a link there, and we can both enter into the drawing. So we can do that. Let me scroll down. Tesla P85D says, is Tesla store employer told me it's coming, huge AP 2.5 update in March. You said in March, but I'm assuming in March. Yes, well, Elon tweeted and he said that there is an update coming. As we discussed before, Tesla Autopilot is very, very much behind even itself, right? I mean, we know that the AP 1.0 was designed by Mobileye, which is now an Intel company, and it's still better. 2.5 years later, it's still better than the Tesla ones that they've designed after they broke up with Mobileye, and it's a 2.5 version right now, and it still hasn't caught up. They literally just started to roll out beta for their automated rain sensing wipers. That's how behind they are. And this is, there was a recent study done, and they basically placed Tesla dead last in the self-driving technology. So yes, what I'm saying is that when they do come up with this update, myself and everybody else is expecting a lot from that update. But yes, it is hopefully going to be exciting. Let's see. Frosty Flakes says, Alex, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much. But really, this show is about mainly this. This is about you guys talking about the stories, asking questions, making comments. I appreciate it. Clickbait stories are now a thing, says DRK, but being critical and honest with facts are not to be found usually by these people. I agree, and I have to say that clickbait is something that a lot of people do on YouTube. Sometimes people accuse me of doing clickbait, but I don't think any of my videos have a clickbait thumbnails. I mean, of course, I try to make them as exciting so people can click on the video to watch, but I never lie about what my videos are about. It's usually the same thing. As a matter of fact, a lot of times I use a slide from my stories as my thumbnails. Okay, anyway. To compete with Tesla competitors, says Farid in the chat room. Farid ABD in France. Competitors need a network of superchargers. How long does it take to build one? Is this the best strategy? Well, I mean, there are different strategies. Like I said, yes, they need to build some, or they need to come up with the technology. Like I would propose is to have a swappable leased batteries that people can just swap for long distance driving. And another thing that will, of course, solve it is, try to get as close to 1,000-mile range. That will solve that problem, right? Better late than never, says Frosty Flake. That's correct. I agree with that. Ben says Tesla should make a truck with a bunch with power packs. I don't think it's that simple as just putting power packs on the truck. But yes, I mean everyone's waiting for the Tesla pickup truck, but that may not be coming anytime soon. First is going to be Model Y, of course, which brings me to the next story, because Model Y was in the news earlier today. It looks like some undisclosed source told one of the publications that Tesla is quietly shopping for suppliers for Model Y, which kind of makes sense. Oh, and the date of production that they're trying to target, I believe, is March 1st of, oh my God, I forgot. I think 2019. Or 2020. Oh, guys, sorry, I will Google that. But anyway, they kind of set a production date, which of course is, you know, when it comes to Elon Musk and Tesla, may change, subject to change. But it looks like they are starting to ramp up their efforts to start moving on from Model 3 now that the production is, you know, ramping up to Model Y. And the reason they have to do that is because, you know, they need to move forward. And a lot of it is because of, you know, cars like this, Kia Niro EV, 238-mile range. They're going to be available at the end of this year on sale by Kia. You know, they will definitely be Tesla to market as far as the small crossover SUV is concerned. So Tesla needs to at least unveil, I believe they will unveil a Model Y this year and will try to start production. I really think it's 2019, but we'll see. It is based on a Model 3 architecture, so it should be easier to design. They will have a lot of things already solved as far as how to produce that car, so that should definitely help and bring this car to the production faster. However, don't forget, they don't have a factory right now to build it on. Fremont factory is completely full. Sorry guys, trying to catch up on my food. Haven't eaten anything yet. Anyway, so yes, they're going to have to build a factory, and some people speculating it's going to be half battery, half production factory, which makes sense. Either in China or in Europe, that looks like that's where they're going with this. So that's exciting. Model Y is in the news. Again, hoping for an unveiling this year. Hey guys, sorry if I'm missing some of the comments. You guys are kind of really fast as far as typing in the chat. Will the solid state batteries will come before 2020? Says Madhu in the chat room. I don't think so. It does look like that's where it's going because of just so many benefits of solid state batteries, like performing in different weather conditions, having very little resistance to being charged, being lighter. I mean, everything you want out of the batteries, but I think they're still far away from that. Fisker has just recently patented their solid state battery technology that they're saying is going to, you'll be able to charge like 500 miles in 1 minute. You know, you can see my interview with Henry Fisker on my channel about that. I asked him about it. They believe that it's possible, but even they're saying it's going to be more like 2023, you know? Let's see. Nissan N200 is not available in the US. I'm sorry, I guess you guys are talking. Oh, you guys talking among each other, which is awesome, by the way, I think. Reach Sound 56 says, off subject. All right, let's talk. My wife wants to know who you want to win in a Super Bowl. You know who I want to win in a Super Bowl is the good commercials. I'm unfortunately, guys, I'm from Europe. I'm not a Super Bowl fan. Actually, it might be today, right? I think it's today. See, this is how little I know. I used to watch Super Bowl for commercials. I don't anymore because commercials suck. And don't forget, here in the United States, I don't know a lot of people know, but football has been kind of on my blacklist of sports to watch just because of ethical. I mean, to me, they've allowed a lot of people with domestic violence history and like major abuse back in the league. I believe there was a guy who did an animal fighting ring. They let him back in the league. The guy who knocked his wife out in an elevator. And there's video of that. I think that he's got like a few games of suspension. There's a major, concussion issue going on. A lot of football players end up with this horrible diseases afterwards, and it looks like they're doing nothing about it. So I kind of boycotted football just like I'm boycotting Volkswagen, I guess. I know it's a big thing and you guys can watch, that's fine, but it's not for me. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to be Debbie Down on this one. You're not doing clickbait, just marketing, says Frosty Flake. I hope so. Again, I still once in a while people to kind of like still accuse me of that. That kind of sucks. Oh, I just switched from it, but the comment was Niro looks like Porsche SUV. I think they all look the same lately, I have to say. I don't mean to sound like an old man, but they all look the same to me. Flynn567, sorry guys, just a little hungry. Flynn567 says, can't wait to hear more about Model Y. We all can't wait to hear about Model Y. It's probably going to be awesome. I just want to know, and a lot of people want to know if they're going to have Falcon doors or not. I'm kind of 50-50 on that, because I think not, because of how expensive they are. Maybe they will come as an option, but I think everybody expects this car to be under 40. You know, to start under 40,000. I don't see how you can do that and still have Falcon doors as a standard. You know, but then if you don't, then what are you going to do with them if it's just a basic package, right? So I'm going to bet on no Falcon doors, but I'm still 50-50 whether or not they're actually going to do it. Swappable batteries have structural issues that add weight substantially, says Frosty Flake. Listen, I understand. I mean, I'm not saying it should happen right now, but innovate. Make it happen. I'm just saying this concept is better and it will solve 3 different problems at once. So yeah, you have to work harder on that. And right now we're not there yet. Let's see. Nigel says Renault builds Zoe on the same production of ICE vehicles and gradually increasing production as demand comes in and batteries become available. And you know, this is maybe something that Tesla can do, but just like I said, they'll be at maximum. They're already at maximum like space capacity at the Fremont factory. So even if they wanted to, they just wouldn't be able to produce as many of Model 3 and Model Ys as they need to, just using the existing Model 3 lines. You know. Nuts District Kennels, do you think there will be an electric vehicle commercial on Super Bowl in 2020? Yes, I think by 2020. I thought you were asking me about today, and I wouldn't be surprised if there would be one. But by 2020, I think so. By 2020, things should definitely be rolling, guys. I know it's like, you know, technically only a couple of years ago, but that's a long time in electric car universe, as you know. Falcon doors for driver? Asking Nigel. No, Nigel. No, don't get people's expectations up. You know. Do you like ice hockey? Nigel says. I love ice hockey. As a matter of fact, I play roller hockey because here in California we have a lot of roller hockey rinks. Plus, I don't like being cold after living in Russia for a while. I love hockey. I play on 2 league teams here in Silicon Valley, and also I watch hockey. Love it. I'm a Detroit Red Wings fan, but I'm a hockey fan. First, really. Let's see. Do you think there will be okay, I answered that. Who do you think is going to win Super Bowl? I like asking hockey. I don't even know who are playing, guys. I'm an old man. Agree, all cars looking similar, says Nigel. Falcon doors for driver. Okay. Internet articles about Tesla Model 3 teardown reveals some issues. Do you know about anything about it? Cook, we already talked about it. I haven't really dove into that article because I can't just read an article. I want to see what their intentions are, what their other articles are, have they done this before, and so forth. So I just didn't dive in. I just, you know, to me, it just sounded like a story where someone's trying to crap on Tesla, really. You know, that's what I see. I might review the story maybe a little bit later today since you guys are asking about it. I just thought it was a non-story for now. But sometimes what I think is a non-story becomes a story and I cover it. Like with that Tesla that smashed into a fire truck, turned out to be a bigger story than originally I thought. Let's see. The Model Y is to the Model X as the Model 3 is to the Model S. Absolutely, Louis. I absolutely agree. What is the Buffalo factory doing? Buffalo factory is doing Panasonic. They're doing solar panels. Is it just being built and used for solar tiles? Yeah, pretty much. They're not being built, but they already started the production there. And that's why you see some of the, and this is another story that I covered, I think, yesterday. So you know how Tesla bought Solar City, and then they kind of fired a lot of people because they were doing like this ancient door-to-door sales, and then they kind of went quiet. Nothing. And I believe Solar City might just be a bigger money maker for Tesla than their entire car fleet. Now, yesterday, they've, what was it, a couple of days ago, they've announced that they're finally making some push. So they're going to be putting their home energy products in more of the Home Depots, about 200 more here in the United States. So it looks like they're ramping up. It looks like they're going to be finally installing some of the solar roofs and moving forward with their Panasonic flat design battery panels and power packs and so forth. So I'm excited about it. You know, like, I really think that this whole home energy thing, the solar city part of Tesla, may just be much bigger at some point than their car. So it's good to see that they're doing that. But yes, because Buffalo factory is finally operational, it looks like they're going to be doing some of that and ramp up their installation and production. I believe they're also going to be able to avoid the 30% tariff that Trump is putting on the solar panel imports here in the United States. We covered that story as well. Let's see. Oh, let's really quick go through the story. As you know, Elon Musk tweeted a lot of stuff about upgrades that are coming up, including Autopilot, but there were a lot of them. And so they just rolled out an over-the-air update that kind of delivered one of them, which is when you leave your car and your steering wheel is heated. When you come back, it just kind of turns itself off. You have to turn it back on. Didn't know it was that big of a deal. But some people complained, and Elon said that they would fix it. And with this rolling update that's going on right now, that's what they got going on. When you get back to your car, your heated wheel will once again start heating as you get into your car. Any updates on Gigafactory? Does not look like the computer rendering, says Ben. Not really sure what we're expecting for Gigafactory. I mean, they're, you know, kicking butt. They're making batteries for Model 3. They're just making batteries. So I'm not really sure. If you don't mind, please go ahead and elaborate on that. Will Tesla change the world? Asked Colts95. This is the reason why I bought into it as soon as I saw it. I believe Tesla is changing the world, because if we can all go to clean energy, not only it will benefit the environment, not only people who are, you know, having lung diseases and all kinds of respiratory problems in these large cities because the air is full of fumes. Not only just because of that, but also because here in the United States we are very much involved in Middle East conflicts, because that's where we go for oil. And if we are not dependent, we don't have to have a presence there and fight all these wars, so many less people will die on both sides. And I'm all for people living regardless of where they come from. And so I think that's going to be a good thing, that we're not going to be dependent on oil, that we're not going to be polluting an environment around us and breathing the stuff. And I think Tesla is changing the world, and they're doing it, the old-fashioned way, by making a product that people love and buy into, regardless of the fact that it's an electric cars. They just made electric cars better cars. And I love that. So yes, I think they are changing the world. Let's see. Eagles or Patriots, I guess, playing in Super Bowl. All right. I guess Patriots won last year, right? So I guess I want somebody else to win. I think when somebody wins a Stanley Cup twice in a row, that's a Super Bowl of hockey, which right now the Penguins, Pittsburgh Penguins won twice in a row. I'm just wondering, like, well, is there not enough competition? It's not fun if same company wins time after time. So I guess I'm rooting for whoever did not win last year. Does that? Steve Ryder says, enjoyed your Nikki GB interview. Yes, guys, this is my last video that I've posted. Okay, well, this is Nikki interviewing me on her channel. And crap, I do have a video of me and Nikki on my channel, and this is a video I posted yesterday. This is me and Nikki of Transferred Evolved, another awesome electric car channel. I watch her videos myself. I finally met her in person at CES, and as you can see with Fisker E Motion behind us, we're discussing what happened at CES with the future of electric cars. This is a really fun interview. I love talking to her. I wish I could talk to her more. And just like I said before that, I've produced 8 other videos about Byton, Mercedes, Chopin Motors, Kia, Nissan, all of those. I have interviews, the electric pickup truck, Workhorse. I have interviews, including with Henry Fisker. So if you haven't seen that on my channel, go ahead and browse to my electric car vlog section, and you'll see coverage of all these amazing cars at CES. It was fun. While you're there, in the description of this video, please go ahead and use my a referral link for Tesla. You don't have to buy a Tesla. Just go ahead and sign up with their newsletters. That way you and I get entered into this little lottery that Tesla has in order for us to get there and ride in their electric truck. And this is something I'm going to bring to all of you guys if I get to go, so everybody wins. I'm losing my voice or hitting puberty, one or the other. Tesla is a major factor in disruption already. Absolutely, Steve. And you know, here's the thing. Tesla is not just disrupting the car industry. Tesla is disrupting a lot of industries around it, including the energy industry. I mean, think about it. You know, we may not need companies like PG&E providing energy to us. We can all generate our own electricity. There will be no power outages or rolling blackouts or anything like that. We can literally get it from the sun ourselves. The solar panels are going to look like roofs, really, which are actually better roofs than regular roofs right now. And we're not going to have all this crazy, such dependence. You know, when there are disasters strike in like Puerto Rico, right? We will not have people without electricity for months and months and months. So this is, yeah, they're changing the world. The insurance world around the cars will change. The technology, I mean, cars are really technology on wheels nowadays. You know, Byton, the name of Byton, the new car that had an unveiling at CES, the name comes from bytes on wheels, right? This is what they are. They're technology on wheels now, and I absolutely love it. Let's see. I'm just looking in the chat room. Tesla is not going bankrupt anytime soon, says Nigel. I'm not with Elon's ability to raise money like crazy, like he's doing right now. 14 times oversubscribes their latest securities that they're going to be offering. How about worldwide Tesla power network? I mean, you know, it says Bharat Patil in the chat room. You know, this is something I was thinking about as they had the news today about, you know, rolling their panels out to 50,000 homes in South Australia. This is maybe something that we're going to as more like peer-to-peer energy sharing, right? If everyone's got solar panels and, you know, let's say I'm out of town on this weekend and I can sell my energy or even let my neighbor have that energy. If that neighbor's having a big party and they need a lot of air conditioning and lights and all of that stuff, and they need to charge their cars and their guests' cars and stuff like that, I can sell them and give my energy from my home to that neighbor, so the neighbor doesn't have to pay overages or from electricity utilities. So I think putting it into a network is kind of cool. Now, like, you know, with Nissan Leaf and other cars, they're trying to plug the cars back into the utility network and have the cars release some energy back and make money that way. I mean, I think it's a bit of a early attempt on doing that because, you know, Nissan needs all the energy in their batteries they can get, so I wouldn't be letting it out of into the grid. But you know, this is more of like cars and houses and the whole infrastructure being tied into one new electric age where we're not dependent on this big electricity and oil companies to provide it for us. It is amazing GM has no interest in battery factories. They're so far behind and they know it. Well, Steve, I would pick on GM really as a poster child for battery problems because they do have a bold love it or hate it. I mean, I love the range, hate the look, but you know, there are others that are way behind, right? And at the same time, don't forget a lot of times that, and I think this is where it's gone with some of the car manufacturers. They're not going to manufacture their own batteries. They're just not. They're going to rely on supplier like LG Chem or Panasonic. You know, Tesla's relying on Panasonic to either partner up or just simply buy those batteries from them. You know, not every car manufacturer has everything made by them, right? A lot of them have a lot of different parts being supplied by other companies like Bosch, right? So this, you know, battery could be just one of those parts that are being supplied by another company that specializes in making batteries like LG Chem and Panasonic and so forth. Let's see. Tesla in Australia seems to be best friends, says Tobias Anders. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. I'm bad at it, reading names. Tesla in Australia seems to be best friends after they want to make 50,000 homes with 5 kilowatt power solar panels and 1 power wall. 2, yeah, I mean they're definitely BFFs now, and I have no problems with that. It's kind of a testing ground for the rest of the world, and I think they're doing a great job. DRK says the Nick interview you did was well done. I absolutely love hanging out with her. I hope to do it more in the future because I'm assuming we're going to be going to the same event. Gabriel Pop says Volkswagen paid in Germany 25 men to test the emissions on them. No joke. Now, we already covered this earlier today. I think it was 20 men. But the rest of us, we do that for free. That's exactly my point. They're testing on us right now. If you guys, those men probably got paid and they volunteered. We're not getting paid and we're not volunteering. We're just dying a little bit earlier because of that. And I mean, I don't mean to make a joke out of it, but that's where we are right now, and it is pretty sad. I hope we get out of it pretty soon, and I think this whole scandal is gonna get us closer to moving towards electric cars and electric energy in general. If you could put Tesla batteries on Hyundai, says Nigel, performance may be better. Tear down one of these and Tesla would be great. You mean you meant Hyundai. Well, the Hyundai's latest SUV that I covered at CES does have 370-mile range. The bad news, it's powered by hydrogen fuel cells. Hopefully one day they'll take that stuff out and put electric batteries in from whatever companies they want, and that would be an actually relatively good car. Cinema XD in the chat room says, I hate Tesla. Please tell me why you hate Tesla. Do you hate Tesla cars? Do you hate Tesla as a company? Let me know. Again, I'm willing to entertain that idea. I understand. There are some people who hate Tesla for good reasons. I believe Nikki doesn't hate Tesla, but Nikki is not as crazy about Tesla as a lot of us. And I think, there's something to it. She is more for, as you can see in the interview, electric cars for the masses rather than electric cars for a few people who can afford an $80,000 car. And there's something to it. Let's see. Colts 95 says, if Tesla is charging the world, will Tesla expand to Asia, South America, and Africa? What do you mean expand to Asia? They're like kicking butt in China. I think it's $1 billion in sales last year for Tesla cars. They're doing really, really well. They're just about to create a new a factory there. They made a deal with the Chinese government. China is very, very serious about electric cars, so their Tesla is already there and doing a great job. But South America and Africa, probably not anytime soon. I already did a video about maybe possibly Tesla and electric car manufacturers expanding to India, which kind of seems to be maybe like the next step. But even in India, as you guys, if you guys watched that video, the infrastructure is not there. People don't have enough money to buy the electric cars right now because they're still pretty expensive. The roads, infrastructure, and so forth. It's probably not going to be in India for at least a couple of years, but definitely South America and Africa will probably come after that, just judging by their consumer power and their infrastructure. Nigel's asking, are the batteries for the cars much different to the ones for the Powerwall? I wouldn't say they're much different. They're definitely different, and the software that operates it, which is actually a big part. I don't think people realize that the way the software charges these batteries, the way it figures out which units need to be charged ahead of others, and the way the battery are being drained or used is all managed by the software. And that is a big part of why Tesla and others are able to get those batteries perform as well as they do. It's not just all about chemistry and stuff. It's a lot of it is about batteries. But I can't really answer your question specifically what those differences are. But good question. I'll try to research that for sure. Let's see. Solar batteries and electric cars is good when it works in space. I believe in space they've been using solar panels for decades. Every time you see, a satellite, they always have the solar panel wings, right? Cinema XD says, I hate this man, dude. You gotta speak. I'm not. Cinema XD, you either need to tell me why you hate this or that, or you're gonna get kicked out of the chat room. I mean, we're not, you're basically halfway trolling right now. You want to have a discussion? Go ahead and have a discussion with me and the rest of the group here. But if you're just gonna be spewing 5-year-old, kind of sentences, then I'm just gonna press a button. You'll be gone. So please either participate in adult discussion or just leave. Another story, by the way, is comes from Chile. That's where Tesla is now negotiating their own facility, maybe even a little factory where they're going to be producing lithium. Chile is one of the leading countries where lithium is produced. Now, I should mention that lithium is actually not the main ingredient as far as the volume is concerned of lithium-ion batteries, but nevertheless, it's important for Tesla, to secure their own source. So that was interesting news. Kind of expected. I think Elon went there on vacation, and immediately after that, Tesla went there to negotiate some deals. I don't have a problem with that. Working vacation is always good. Let's see. Chuck M in the chat room says, "Do you know where Fisker Motion will be produced?" Yeah, they're definitely going to be produced in the US. It's a yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, they're not 100% settled on their factory, but they are definitely going to be produced here. I'm like 99% sure. Interesting question. Haven't even thought about this actually. David, Thunder in the chat room, settle down. I'll take care of it. Let's not call each other names. Please do not. Steve Ryder says something funny. I configured and ordered my Model 3. Congratulations. A week ago, I checked my account daily, but just today I received an invitation email from Tesla to order and configure. Oh, interesting. That's weird, right? I mean, sometimes they send emails and it gets crossed, and yeah, they're yeah, interesting. You're the first person who reported this. How do you feel about the Falcon Heavy, says ReachSound56? I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing that Elon Musk has his hands in not just few different companies that are changing the world, right? I mean, from Boring Company drilling tunnels and really thinking outside of the box of what transportation is going to be. Then there's cars, then there's energy and solar roofs and power packs, and now he's sending stuff to space and landing the boosters back. Definitely, it's very exciting. I can't wait to watch that. It's, I believe, in just a few days away. But I mean, it's unbelievable. It's exciting, and once again, he's changing the world by doing it where everybody else who probably could have done it one way or another, just not interested in innovation and moving forward. That's very unfortunate. Let's see. Portugal, yes, correct. Tony in the chat room says Portugal has a lot of lithium as well. There are a few countries out there in the world, I think, including China, that has a lot of lithium supplies. But Chile is a leader, and that's looks like where Tesla is going to get theirs. Last rocket survived, and it got back from the sea, says Nigel. That is awesome. I saw that. Rebel in the chat room says, since Tesla is now making their own batteries, couldn't they pack a lot more punch for the buck by making each cell a rectangular tube instead of a round pipe tube? That's an interesting question. I think it's about the way chemistry works inside, that the tubular form is actually better for it, but don't quote me on that. That's an interesting point. Though another thing that, again, I'm not giving you an educated answer, but I'm kind of, this is an educated guess. And those of you guys probably know the answer. Please jump into the chat room or in the comment section, which I will obviously check every day. I believe it's also an issue of cooling, right? Those batteries need to be cooled, so that circular way of putting them next to each other is basically assuring that there's space in it so they can cool down. That is my guess. 1 day and 22 hours, Falcon Heavy is scheduled to fly. Thank you, Saga Photo DE. David, communication next, disruption with thousands of internet satellites. That's another thing that Tesla can do, right? Once they can get their own satellites in the air and change the industry as far as how we're covered with satellite communication, satellite internet. I mean, there's just so many things. And if Elon Musk continues to innovate like this is going to be an amazing place to live, obviously. Let's see. Jonathan J says, hey, cut Cinema XD a break. They also visit an audio channel and express their overwhelming love of all things Tesla. I will cut Cinema XD a break. I mean, I'm cutting him a break by not banning him because, all of his so far statements are kind of trolling statements. And again, I'm told him, please tell me something. Tell me why you hate Tesla. Is there something behind your statement? And quiet. He just says, I hate this, I hate that. I mean, what do you want me to do, man? I don't want to moderate my chat. I mean, while I'm talking, because, I'm assuming everyone's adult here. And again, you got to either join an adult conversation or just don't join it at all. And I am giving him a break, DRK in the chat room says Tata Motors can be the Tesla of India as they are homegrown and know the issues their country faces and have the contacts. That's true, but you know, think about why they are not doing that. Maybe they're not doing that because they know that that's probably not even the best market for them. Although they do sell their cars in India, one of the few manufacturers that do. James, how are you? Hi from Toronto. Hope everything's good. Hope you're having a good Sunday. Jan says Alex 2 battery has a maximum amount of battery and a minimum amount of steel cover. There you go. Let's see. It is all about the money. Round cells are cheaper than the flat squared ones, so says Tobias in the chat room. Yes, beautiful beaches, good wine, and lots of Teslas and other cars, says Tony in chat room. So here's some answers about the why the batteries are round. Also, Jan says weight to power ratio. So there you go. I will research a little bit more. I should probably know the answer, but those seem to be knowledgeable answers right there. Yes, Tata Motors owns Jaguar and Tetley T. Well, yeah, so I think Jaguar's target audience is not India right now. Let's see. Guys, let's move on to the next story because we have so many. And of course, just a quick reminder, guys. Don't forget to go to the description of this video so we can do this, me and you. Just browse to the referral link in the description of the video. I'll put your email down there to send out with a Tesla's newsletter. And both of us are going to be entered into the drawing to ride in a Tesla Semi. That should be fun. So please do that if you don't mind. Another quick reminder, Evanex is our sponsor for this channel, for this videos. Thank you to them. The discount code for you guys specifically was generated by them and is also in the description of this video. All right, let's move on to this story really quick. Steve Wozniak made some crappy comments about Tesla. He said that he's lost trust in Elon Musk. Well, we obviously know he is a big supporter of Chevy Bolt. I believe he's on payroll in one way or another with them. And he says that he prefers Chevy Bolt over Tesla Model S, his daily commute, which that's how I know he's full of crap. Yeah, so he made these comments. I don't know why he keeps butting in about stuff like this. I mean, you know, he's obviously one of the Apple's co-founders, and he was saying how Tesla was all hype and they don't deliver. And can you think of other company that has a lot of hype and didn't really deliver? And I mean, it's just very hypocritical. I don't know if he's literally getting paid to talk crap about Tesla. That would be pretty sad if he kind of sold out this way and to the wrong company. If you're gonna sell out, at least sell out to the best company. He sold out to Chevy Bolt, but okay, so that wasn't cool, I thought. He making those comments. We talked about Mercedes-Benz already. Well, we haven't talked about Jaguar. So Jaguar is actually, you know, I-Pace. I-Pace is coming out at the end of this year, beginning of the next year. Really, I love the way this car looks, especially in red. And I'm kind of hoping, I'm actually going to consider it myself. I know no supercharging network and everything, but if I have one Tesla, one Jag I-Pace, I think that would be kind of cool. My girlfriend can drive the I-Pace because she mainly drives to work and back. She also now needs to see clients because she got a new job. So that could be a pretty cool car for her as well. But also Jaguar says that their XJ car will also be all electric by 2020. So that's getting pretty aggressive. You know, it looks like they're really serious. As you know, they've also been aggressive overall with their plans to electrify their fleet by 2020. That doesn't mean all cars are going to be electric, but all cars are going to be electric powertrain, which means some of them are going to be hybrids, plug-in hybrids, some of them are going to be fully electric. But this car, and I love the way this car looks, I got to tell you, the only reason I never bought it is because it's a gas guzzler. But if it was electric, man, Jaguar's got some really good looking cars, I have to say, at least for my taste. Let's see. Yeah, another story that I have covered also, that Nissan is finally, if they're out, Nissan Leaf is finally out, and they're already sending out these messages to their loyal customers, people who already got on their list about the new Nissan Leaf, and they're offering a really good lease, even with taxes and fees at $4,000 down. You only going to be paying $250 a month. This is for a 151-mile range basic model, but nevertheless, I think it's a great deal. This is where I see a lot of people switching to Nissan or continuing their journey with Nissan because it is a better looking car, decent range, and it is a really good lease. $4,000, 12,000 miles a year, which is, you know, above what average, what usually companies let you have. Usually they do 10,000 when they have deals like this. 12,000 is actually very good. I have to say. So, and they have a lease, like Model 3, where, like, for example, people like me, I wouldn't buy a Model 3 until they have a lease option. So this is something that Nissan Leaf will probably do very well with until, you know, Model 3 ramps up, until Model 3 has a lease program. So they got a pretty good jumping start. This deal, I believe you have to take delivery before March 31st, which was another smart thing that they did. So that was pretty cool. Where's the referral link? Says Ben, I don't see it. It's, if you scroll in the description, it will say Tesla referral link. It will be like Alex7792 or something like that. In the end, it was with Tesla, you know. Okay, well, I can find it and I put it in the chat room right now, real quick, guys. If you don't mind, I will do that. Ooh, hold on. I'll do this. I'll do this. Here, I'm gonna put it in the chat room right now so you guys can use it. Please do. This way, don't forget, not only I will be able to go and cover this for you guys, but also you guys will also be able to win, at least have a chance to win and go with me and ride the Tesla Semi. So thank you so much for I really appreciate it. Alexander C is in the chat room. Welcome. I've seen you comment on some of my videos, so you are in the chat room, in the live for the first time. You say first time watching live. I appreciate it. Welcome. I hope you're having a good Sunday. Monkey Wright says, Alex, have we got a price for the Jag yet? I believe it's going to be also starting at about 75,000. So people were expecting it at 50 or 60, but I think it's going to be starting at 75. Now they're going to be unveiling their I-Pace is actually, there's another story here, because they just did this. They just put out a video. They've tested this car in like extreme minus 40 degrees Celsius conditions. You know, they've been testing about over 200 prototypes like this one. They presented at the LA Auto Show. They're aggressively taking this car into production, and they're going to be unveiling this car in their own event in March, and they're going to be moving with their production right after that. So we'll know what it looks like, and they will also going to reveal all the stats. They're going to reveal the pricing. So again, this is just rumors, but people are talking about $75,000 price tag. I think it's a little too much for this car. You know, I really was hoping they were going to start at 55, 60. So we'll see. We don't know, but that's the rumor. Woz is trying to stay relevant, says Jonathan. Well, nothing makes you more irrelevant when you pick a wrong product to get behind. So yeah. I so want to get my internet and cell phone service from them. I cannot stand AT&T. You guys are talking about, I don't know, maybe between themselves. Okay, Lucid Motor Fate, says Hussein. Man, I love Lucid Motors. As you guys can see, I had a kind of an exclusive look at the Monterey Car Week a few months ago, and you can definitely see that video. It's one of my best videos, I think. It was also featured on a channel called Like Tesla with Kim. So I love this car. I really like the insides of the car. Probably my most favorite interior so far. But yeah, they're struggling to get financing. They have recently announced that they're changing headquarters, and I went there myself. For those of you who are my Patreons and contribute to the show, you have an access to a very cool video there. I went to their headquarters, new headquarters, and I discovered something very interesting there. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed that video. Probably one of my best videos on Patreon. If you want to join, of course, the description of this video also has a link to the Patreon. But yeah, they're struggling. But from what I understand, the building that they leased cannot be leased unless you have a very good backing. And the rumor started that they're just about to get really large investment, but that was a couple of months ago, and nothing really came out in the news. I mean, I'm in touch with their media person. Nothing from them. So I really hope they're going to get it, because I really want to see this car in production. If anything, I hope they get bought by companies like Ford or Toyota, whatever the companies that are really behind. So I really hope so, but I don't know what their fate is at this point, unfortunately. Alex, have we got a price? Okay, I read that. Let's see. What do you think of the Model 3 teardown video? We already talked about it. Comparing to a 90s Kia. I got to research that a little bit more. To me, it was kind of a non-story Tesla hater kind of a video. So I will try to catch up on that and answer the question next time. What has Woz done lately, says Joe. Good point. He got paid from Chevy Bolt. I know he has he continues. I know he has Apple. He was an Apple co-founder, blah, blah, blah. But what has he done since then? Nothing. Agreed. Let's see. I'm just trying to go. A lot of you guys saying the same thing. That's pretty cool. Oh, Monkey Wright says, "What's the point of buying the model this Model Leaf when the next one will have more range and thermal battery control? Rumored to come from Tesla." Okay, so first of all, it's not like you're going to be able to buy. Let me go back to that story real quick. I just have so many stories. It's not that easy to switch. Sorry. Okay, so yes, they will have an option. An upgrade next year to 225 miles from 151 miles. But the basic model with a standard range would still be this, 151 miles for this price. If you want that option, you're going to have to pay more. I'm going to assume probably $3,000 to $5,000 at least. Well, actually, no, closer to $5,000 more. So if you weren't going to need, if you are not going to need a longer range, and you're good with what it is right now, then you can just buy one as right now as well, and that won't change the next year. You just won't use the option you weren't going to use. So that's the reason. Nissan does claim that their batteries are made a little different now, actually a lot different, so it doesn't need the active cooling system. I'm not 100% buying it, but they do have a warranty on the battery. They haven't had as many problems with their later Nissan Leafs as they've had their first couple of years. So you can kind of argue, especially if you lease, that you will never have problems with the battery. I believe it's a 100,000 mile, 8-year warranty. So it's a pretty solid warranty on the battery. There are some questions about, some legalities in terms of like fine font, I guess, a fine print, if you will, about that. But I still think it's a pretty good deal. I drive 50,000 miles a year. Tesla P85D says, yes, I drive 30,000 miles a year, and it's barely. That's why I have 2 cars that are leased, really. But yeah, you're really not a candidate for leasing then. I have a couple of other videos, I have a couple of videos explaining lease versus buying and why I think that lease is best for most people, but not in this case, of course. Alex, are the 2 stories about broken Model 3s true or false? Dead screen and broken motor. I haven't seen those, Alexander. See, I haven't seen those stories, but I'm sure there are Tesla Model 3s that will have some issues and they will need to be replaced, just like it happened with the Model X, just like it happened with the Model S. I expect these things to happen. I mean, I'm sure they replaced it immediately and went on their way. Wow, that's a lot of questions about the teardown video. I'm just going to go ahead and research it for you guys so I can answer this question better. Let's see. I hope Tesla does well, says DRK, but I think many people may wait for the longer range and the battery management system. Again, if you're leasing, I don't think you really need to worry about the battery management system. It will definitely hold up for the first 3 years. But as far as longer range, just like I said, that will cost more. I think if people who are, like, I know a few of my friends, they want to get an electric car, but they just don't have as much money as some of us who are lucky enough to afford some of these cars. But, and 30,000 is really their like most expensive car they can afford. So this is a very decent car for them, especially if they don't travel that much or that often. So yeah, no, I think they're going to do well. They're definitely going to do well just because it looks better and it has a longer range. Don't forget, right now, Tesla Leaf is the best-selling car in the world. Over 300,000 Leafs have sold. So if they could sell that, which I believe is a piece of crap, I know some of you guys drive them, but I'm just being objective, okay? Don't shoot the messenger. They can definitely sell this one much better. They already have 13,000 people in line just in the United States. So I think they're going to do well, at least in the near future, and then obviously into 2019. Has anyone come across a broken supercharger yet, says Ben? Yeah, I have come across a couple. One, I believe, was here in Mountain View, where Elon usually does his shareholder meetings. And somebody, I guess, dropped the plug and then drove over it. So that one was disabled. And I think I was just at the San Mateo supercharger here in California, in the Bay Area, and there were 2 of them out of service, I think. So yeah, I mean, they break once in a while, but I mean, that's normal. I think they fix them pretty quickly, though. They know. As of December 28th, February 17th, article says Model Y release. Tesla Model Y set to release 2019, 2020 window. Well, duh, yeah, that you don't need to read a color about that. I believe now there is a Chuck, I don't mean to make fun of you. I'm making fun of the article. I believe the date is March 1st, 2019 or 2020. I really still can't remember. That's one of the leaked rumors when that car goes into production. But again, this is just rumors. Let's see. DRK says, I hope Lucid Air makes it. If not, they have some excellent design and tech that they could sell to other manufacturers. That's exactly what I'm hoping. But I'm hoping they sell the entire company to another manufacturer that can actually go ahead and bring it to production. What's the next story? Harley Davidson is the next story. And they have committed to producing all-electric motorcycle in just 18 months, a year and a half. They've, you know, obviously that's not a company you would expect to produce an electric vehicle, but they're doing it. I mean, there's a Zero motorcycles that have been doing very well. And so I know this is a concept from a few years ago from Harley Davidson that, you know, they kind of played around, never really brought to production. But yeah, Harley Davidson is going to make some electric bikes. I thought it was a pretty cool story. Another cool story is a Rimac. Is, you know, this company that is, you know, does a kind of a supercars. What is it? Was Concept One? I forget what the hell was that called. Yeah, so I think Concept One was like a supercar. Was very impressive, obviously in low numbers. But now they have released this teaser video where they're saying they're going to be announcing this car at the Geneva show, I believe March 6th. And it's going to be kind of a second generation. From what I can see, I'll show you a frozen frame from this video. That's Photoshop. That's pretty cool. Let me show you that frame. So yeah, Geneva 6 unveiling. Okay, so I photoshopped it and I kind of, you know, this is the best I could do so you can see the best possible view that we have of this car. Looks pretty cool. Definitely very excited about, because, you know, this car made a lot of positive sort of impression in the electric car community. Very respected at this point, even though it's a tiny little company. Was it in Bosnia or Serbia? I'm sorry, I should have known that as well. Let's see. Renault, Mike in the chat room says Renault doesn't have the people it needs as the Model 3 factory. The entire area needs 10,000 skilled workers. Take one semester of P3 Panasonic preferred pathway at Truckee Meadow Community College. Okay, well, so I don't think you need as many skilled workers anymore, because especially with Tesla Model 3, the line is very automated. That's why they actually had production issues, is because they were having problems automating automation, right? So, but now once it's done, they're going to ramp up pretty quickly. But that's going to change, you know. Tesla bought Grohmann Engineering in Germany, which is a company that makes robots. So that's kind of cool, and that's where they're going with this whole thing. So that's something that's definitely going to change, and you won't need as many people to assemble those cars. Alex asks Monkey Ride, Alex, how many reservations do you all think the Model Y will get? Any chance of the 500,000? Model 3s? Wait a second, let me read this again. Alex, how many reservations do you all think the Model Y will get? Any chance of the... Okay, so I guess... well, Elon himself said that the Model Y is supposed to get... is supposed to be more popular and will be sold better than even Model 3. I don't disagree with him. I actually think that, you know, people love, especially here in America, crossover SUVs. If they price it right under 40,000, the price is going to be very decent. So yeah, I see this happening. So... as a matter of fact, by then, there will be more people who would want an electric car. There will be more people with Model 3s that will have a lot of friends who drive Model 3s. There will be much more interest in Tesla, much more interest in electric cars. Of course, the question is how much of competitions like this one from Kia, Tesla is going to have by then. So that's a big question that they need to answer. But yeah, I think it's going to be easy. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be a million people in line for a Model Y, especially if they keep that 1,000 reservation, down payment, and less people will be afraid of giving that money to a Tesla, because like even right now, like, oh, you know, Tesla can go, belly up, we're going to lose our $1,000. I think by then, no one's going to be afraid of that, and more people will be interested. So I think a million even would not be unreasonable. Let's see. Nigel says bigger battery puts less stress on it. Charging rate still same. Should last longer. That's a good point. I trust Tesla superchargers, says Tesla P85D in the chat room. 100%. Often come in with 5% battery and always get charged. Yeah, no, I trust them as well. I just, the problem is it does take, 45 minutes to charge like, most of your battery. And sometimes you have to stand in line. So your, my 5-hour trip from San Francisco to LA, for example, becomes 8 hours. And I don't like it. A lot of, I already admitted that sometimes I take a gas car. Croatia. Thank you, Gabriel Pop and Tesla P85D. Croatia is that's where Rimac is based out of. Sometimes I forget the weirdest details. Just like my brain is just, I don't have a good memory is what I'm saying. Let's see. LG battery shortage for bigger Renault batteries until Polish factory opens. Yeah, I mean, this is something that I think a lot of people are expecting, is that the battery shortage is a real problem, because there will be so many people wanting electric cars, so many electric cars being made, but the batteries for cars, something that nobody really expected a few years ago, that might be a problem, because you have to create factories and mine lithium and all of that stuff in order to do this. I mean, think about just even the Gigafactory that Tesla, it took 2 or 3 years overall from beginning to end to create it. So yeah, there is a concern that that those factories, the battery facilities, will not be brought online in time for the demand, and that's where the the electric cars will probably skyrocket in price, including the used ones. Monkey Rice says, I have 3 bikes, and the good bikes are about 15 to 18,000 pounds. The new Harley, I believe, is around 20. It's very good, and I will hope push other mainstream companies do the same. Tesla motorbike, please. You know what? Tesla might just go ahead and create a motorbike. I'm assuming it's not as hard as creating a new car. So, they might spin off a little department that they might just go ahead and get it done. I wouldn't be surprised. The Autoline video is the one that I think of. Okay, you guys are discussing the teardown video. I will get up to date with that one. It has 133,000 views from 2 days ago. See, every time something negative comes out about Tesla, everybody wants to watch that. So weird. Chuck, first time tuning in live. Welcome. Thank you once again. No problem on comment on my release, Model Y release. I thought the same thing. Enjoying your channel. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Chuck. I really appreciate all of you guys just spending this afternoon, at least this afternoon here in sunny California with me. This is, I already admitted it many times, this is the best part of my week. I love hanging out with you guys live, talking about electric cars, reviewing what happened, answering questions, just seeing you guys just even talk amongst yourselves. This is always a pleasure. And I have to say, my girlfriend and my friends are waiting for me to go to a beach town of Santa Cruz after this. But I'm gonna keep going because I love this. This is awesome. Let's see. What's the next story, guys? Let me catch up on my stories. Model 3 video, Tesla more. Oh yeah, so Tesla mega chargers. All right, so that's another story came out this week. The Tesla is talking to their biggest order holders, reservation holders for their Tesla semi truck, which is Pepsi, UPS, and Budweiser, right? So Anheuser-Busch. Somebody told me how to pronounce this name and I forgot it literally 3 seconds ago. Anheuser-Busch. Anyway, Budweiser. So they're talking to them about installing the very first mega chargers at their locations. And this is, I think that is a great idea, and I thought that's how it was going to work, because the semi trucks, they need mega chargers and they're going to be charged very quickly. But still, you don't want to stop a semi truck and wait for 45 minutes or even 30 minutes to charge your truck, because time is money when it comes to business, right? Where it makes more sense is that while the truck is already parked and being loaded or unloaded, that would be the best time to charge it. So installing mega chargers at like delivery centers and distribution centers is probably the best idea. That's what that looks like they're doing. They're going to be installing there. So, the truck will pull in, empty battery while it's being unloaded and unloaded and so forth. It will be refueled. And by the time they're done, and by the way, that can take a few hours to unload and load a truck, or even a day sometimes, depending on what it is. And then boom, by the time you are all done, the truck has been full of charge for hours. So that's what they're doing. So that's good news as well. We also have a rumor about Model 3. Dual motor, you know, we already know that they are promising it in spring of 2018, but they're also promising the standard battery option, a $35,000 option, beginning of 2018. The picture of one of the drawings, diagrams for the dual motor has leaked last week, and now it looks like they've registered a second batch of VINs that have been decoded to be dual motor Model 3s. This is the second batch. The first one was like about 20, I think 19 or 20. This one has 24. So obviously these are test batches, but it does look like they're testing it where they're going to be rolling out the dual motor very soon. Again, I'm wondering, I don't know if they're going to be selling them to the employees as well, though I don't think there will be, just judging by the numbers, there won't be more than like 500 employees interested in this particular one to buy it right now. So the rest of us will get it right after that. So that's kind of exciting thing, because I know a lot of you guys are waiting for a dual motor. Let me know in the chat room if you guys prefer to drive an all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive cars, and also let me know why. Because different people do it for different reasons, right? Like, for example, when 70D was offered, and I bought one myself, I got the dual motors because it extended the range by a little bit, and that was worth it to me as far as the additional price is concerned. Some people obviously want this for safety because it's easier to maneuver and go around things, and with a dual motor. Some people want to do it for the weather conditions that they live in, which is also a safety issue. So different people wanted to do this for differently. In my honest opinion, he's not here right now, but he wrote out like a huge laundry list of things why he prefers that. So that was pretty cool. I'm not sure why he doesn't have his own YouTube channel. He posts really long but very thoughtful comments on my channel and other channels too. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Jonathan J says, saw 3 minutes of teardown video of old-fashioned pinheads coming up with all their lame brain unformed ancient mentality, wanting Tesla to design like the crappy ICE vehicles they're familiar with. Let's see. It's 8:45 in Ireland. PM. I'm assuming David, right? Yeah, it is PM. I'm pretty sure I'm familiar. Are any non-Tesla owners getting Model 3? Well, I'm sure a lot. They just can't get it yet. Unless you're asking anybody in the chat room or in the comment section, please go ahead and let us know, guys. I'm excited to see how many of you are going to be first-time Tesla owners. Let's see. VW says Robert is planning to get into the EV market. Watch out. What are they going to try finding out next? How much it takes to electrocute someone? Yeah, Robert, we already covered the set story. It just makes me cry. I really have to say that. We'll see. You know, I really hope there's a bigger fallout from this one than even the Dieselgate, because this is complete disgrace. If you ask me, a lot of people are really upset about it, and I hope that we speak with our wallets. I hope we, boycott Volkswagen and maybe even Mercedes and BMW and Bosch for this, unless they turn around and do something that indicates that this was really a mistake that they regret, and they're going to correct this and somehow maybe donate money to animal causes. That would be actually probably the best thing they can do. We'll see what they do. For now, Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes are going to be on my blacklist as far as cars of buying, though I was really looking forward to the Mercedes, so we'll see. Dual motor for snow, says Cook. Jan says all-wheel drive, snow, terrain, fun. Nigel says front-wheel drive, best for the price. Yeah, you know, I see some people wanting the front-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive. Let me know. Is that because of the better handling, or am I missing something about that? Let me know. Joe says he will be getting the extended range and dual motor at the same time. Cook says he will also do the same. Wow, this is a long stream, says ATIC and 1985 from UK. Yeah, this is just a hangout. This is what I do on Sundays, is where we kind of discuss all of the news that happened throughout the week and just kind of answer questions and comments and talk electric cars. But you're right, we're coming up on 2 hours almost. If you want mass production cheap EV, front wheel drive, steel body, plastic panels, more smaller than Leaf. That makes sense. Monkey Wright says Volkswagen and France only regret getting caught. Absolutely. Listen, I don't think they're genuinely sorry. I think they're sorry they got caught, but at the same time, I hope they change their management. I hope the better management come in with that are more responsible and sensitive to community standards, and I hope they do the right thing. Just like I said, donating to animal causes will definitely help. You know, figuring out how they're gonna stop cheating and produce real clean electric cars. I know they're coming out with ID series. We'll hurry that up. I hope that happens. I hope that happens because we're boycotting otherwise their products that at this point have cheated us more than once. I was originally looking for a Volkswagen diesel to replace my Volkswagen diesel, says James. Hope you're not doing it anymore. Dual Model 3 with options can cost 60 to 65,000 before incentives. Tesla P85D says correctly. And you know what? That's going to be a car that's going to be worth it for a lot of people. I mean, it's dual motor, it's extended range, it's got all the bells and whistles. You know, that's going to include premium package, premium wheels, and everything. So it's going to be pretty amazing cars. And don't forget, you still get your incentives in most countries and states. So that's not bad. Nigel says myth of a rear-wheel drive is that drivers' cars are all rear-wheel drive. Top gear type program get into people's heads. Crap in snow, wet weather, cornering on normal. Yeah, I mean, rear-wheel drive cars obviously have their problems. Pretty much everything that you've just described. I was just wondering if there's specific reason why people like front-wheel drives besides the control, which looks like that's the thing. Rear-wheel drive are sportier than front-wheel drive, says Marcel. Tan Tran says, I love Tesla. Well, tell us why, Tan. You know, everybody has different reasons. I personally think because they are changing the world. Let's see. What else did I not cover, guys? I think I've covered all the news. Did I miss anything? Just wanted to once again point you guys to my very last video from CES where me and Nikki talk about everything that we saw in CES. And just in general cars in 2018 and what's going to happen in the next 2 years. She always has a really interesting opinions about pretty much everything as far as electric cars are concerned. Definitely watch her coverage. She has like 3 or 4 videos also about CES on her channel, Transport Evolved it's called. So that's definitely something that I recommend. Her channel is awesome. Can we get an update on Model 3 production? Asks Robert Weiss in the chat room. The way Tesla is bleeding cash, they could go bankrupt. No, they cannot, Robert, go bankrupt. Come on. They cannot go bankrupt. We just talked about the story where Elon Musk wanted to raise $500 million. He wants to raise $500 million, and those securities that he's offering are 14 times oversubscribed. Okay, so that's 14 times more people wanting to get these securities that he actually has securities. So every time they need money, he has no problems raising it, first of all. Secondly, the reason they're bleeding money, they're not bleeding money. They have invested into their flagship car that will change their company and probably the world of electric cars, which is Model 3. And this is what was expected. They told us from the very beginning that it's going to be very expensive production of this car because there is an automation of automation. And they made it, and this was very much like expected. So they're not bleeding cash. This is called investment. You might want to look into Amazon. Amazon was bleeding cash, if you want to call it that way, for many years. Turned out pretty good for them because their business plan was very similar to what Tesla has right now. They're investing into their future, and they're investing it very wisely. They don't have a problem raising money. They're spending their money wisely. They're not wasting it. They now have a product to show. So I really hate when people say that, oh, they can go bankrupt. By the way, feel free to prove me wrong. If you want to, type in the chat room why you think they're going bankrupt. Just show me some numbers or show me some trends. I'll be more than happy to discuss it with you. But they're not bleeding money. They have invested heavily into their future. Let's see. Let me see. Did I even read the rest of the? Yeah. Can we get an? Okay. So I will give you a Model 3 production update since you're asking. They're ramping it up. They are now saying that they're going to be producing the actual $35,000 standard range Model 3 in the next couple of months, it looks like. In the next 3 to 5 months, they're going to be producing dual motor Model 3. And the production has ramped up to, I mean, you can only guess, anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 at this point would be reasonable. And I don't know if you missed earlier report that the Model 3 is the best-selling electric car, including electric plug-in cars, in so far this year. So I don't see how the company that has the best-selling electric cars is going to go bankrupt anytime soon. I don't mean to get on you, Robert. I mean, the thing is I've heard so much of this, and I feel like everyone just wants to say something, but they don't have an actual numbers to back them up. You know, if you look at the numbers, if you look at their financial statements and sheets and how it's been going, if you look at the history of other companies who have done this, it is extremely unlikely that this company will go belly up. By the way, did you notice that the stock went up this year a lot? That's another indication that a lot of people who know about investing into companies know something that maybe we don't know. So I don't mean to be like, and I hope I'm not being disrespectful, but at the same time, I just want to make sure that, this is just not true. And again, I'll be more than happy to read your comments or debate this with you if you have some sort of numbers or kind of facts to back this up. So they're doing fine, as fine as they wanted to, actually. Tesla is amazing to be just a 10-year-old company. It is absolutely amazing. I don't think we ever think about it, but you're right, Tesla P85D. By the way, congratulations once again on your 100D that you just got. Yeah, this company is only 10 years old and it's already kicking everyone's butt, and it's just as valuable as far as market cap is concerned as like the leading car companies here in the United States. Yeah, you're right. I mean, 10 years is just such a tiny little time. And by the way, this is a old school, slow moving, impossible to get into industry, right? And yet they got in at the right time and they kicked ass and they produced this amazing products. And now they're kind of leading the way. They're pushing the rest of the industry into something that the industry didn't really want to do. I think that's absolutely amazing. Why doesn't the Model 3 have the front wheel drive? Ask 10. I really don't know. I think this is their design that they've kind of committed to from the very beginning, but that's an interesting question to ask them. Maybe tweet at Elon. I'm not really sure they're going to tell you about their kind of design secrets or whatever, or design plans. Coog in the chat room says, Alex, Tesla ventures are just waiting in the wings to pick at the bones. Haters, absolutely agree. Let's see. Frosty Flake in the chat room says, investing on supercharger infrastructure worldwide, that gives Tesla incredible market position. I think that's very smart, but I gotta tell you, I think there might be, if there's solid state batteries, they're gonna have to maybe retrofit those superchargers. If it's going to be about this car battery leasing and swapping, then we're gonna have to figure something out there. Superchargers is not the final answer, but it is definitely by far the best feature of Tesla, regardless of their cars. I know their cars are amazing, but the supercharging network is really what sets them apart from the rest of the companies, and I think it's going to go on for a while until they catch up. Alex, is Tesla still worth more than GM? It guys, it goes back and forth. I mean, it says monkey ride is, that's the question. It kind of goes up and down, I think, depending on both companies' stock price. I think right now they might be again, but they're kind of neck and neck. You can look it up actually pretty easily, I think. But again, within a few percent, I think, most of the time. Nigel in the chat room says, Tesla better than Amazon. Money spent on hard rock stuff, factories, equipment, robots, a battery factory, and holes in the ground. Money from hats, flamethrowers, snow salt to Eskimos. Yes, listen, Amazon has done very well. So obviously they've made some mistakes, but I think overall their strategy of consistently being in the red while investing into what they needed to get to where they are as fast as they got there obviously worked. And I think Tesla is actually doing something very similar. Not everything that Tesla does work, right? So I mean, that's fine. They make mistakes, but I think the strategy is very, very similar. He won't answer my question, says Tan. Well, I just told you I don't know why a Model 3 doesn't have a front wheel drive. I really don't. I saw your question. I thought I just told you I don't. And plus, don't forget, this chat moves kind of fast. I can't always answer every single one. I try to, but I can't always. Let's see. Jonathan J says, Alex, even if they had facts, they wouldn't believe them. Just the nature of the beast. Well, that's fine. I'm just saying, if you want to come in and talk to me, then that's the only currency I accept as facts. So that's just, if you want to BS about stuff and, that's just, maybe this is not the place. But okay, Robert just replied. He says, Germans are going to try covering themselves with electric vehicle production before they ban any ICE cars. Well, Robert, I think this goes for pretty much every car manufacturer, because a lot of countries are either already have done so, but really moving towards the laws that will ban the sales of gas cars by 2030, but a lot of them by 2040. So yeah, all of them are going to have to. Amazing, I agree, says Steve, as far as Tesla being 10 years old and already pretty much being the leader of this industry as far as electric car revolution is concerned. Let's see. Retrofit on chargers is mostly software changes, says Frosty Flake. Well, I see, that's the thing. I don't know. Like, for example, if we're going to go with solid state batteries at some point, will the configuration of the plug have to be different, right? If the overall power that goes to the charger in the car has to increase, will the current supercharger going to be able to deliver that, or the materials or the configuration of the plug has to be changed? So I don't know. We don't know what the future holds. I'm just saying that superchargers will have to change with time, which is, reasonable to assume, but not anytime soon. Is there a date for the Model Y unveil? Asks Ben. No, there isn't, but I expect that they will have one soon, again, with Kia coming up with their SUV, and I think a few other people jumping in, including Audi. Front-wheel drive may affect frunk space. That's correct, but I think that's not really the reason they did that. Front-wheel drive, Alpha made sporty, high-powered cars. Yeah, it looks like a lot of comments that the front-wheel drive is for the sportier cars. What is the difference between plug-in hybrid and an EV? Asks Stan. Okay, so EV is an electric vehicle. So that EV is where there's an electric powertrain and an electric motor. There's no gas. Now, a plug-in hybrid, it is also electric powertrain, and you can go on so many miles. Usually it's relatively short distance on the battery, but there is a gas engine that's consistently charging the battery, if you will. I don't want to get into details, but it's charging the battery with gas engine, so that battery continues to output to the motor. Sometimes it's actually directly the generator goes to the motor. There are different designs, but just kind of in a nutshell. So, but the bottom line is plug-in hybrids still use gas as backup, and a lot of times it is needed, where electric cars, EVs, are completely 100% electric. There's no gas in there. If you put gas in them, you will break them. Let's see. Graphene battery options of high-speed charging won't require big changes to superchargers generally. More efficient use of power. Yeah, it looks that way. I'm not saying it's going to change. I'm just saying we don't know what the future holds. We don't know if maybe they'll go with, finally battery swapping or some other technology. So things will need to change a little bit, hopefully not too much. Obviously we don't want Tesla redoing their entire charging network. That can really hurt them financially, right? Do you think the Model Y will have a 300-mile range standard? Cardera Jones asks. Good question. Good question. You know what? They might, but if I had to guess, especially if they're going to do it within the next year, that they will not. That it will probably match whatever the Model 3 will have by then. That would make, I think, more sense. Though, don't forget that it does look like they had a breakthrough with the semi-truck and the new generation Roadster, obviously with the batteries. So I don't know when they will start implementing it into their regular, car fleet. And I don't know if they do that, if they're going to start with the Model S and Model X first. Actually, that would probably make more sense. and then they will switch to the Model 3 and Model Y. So no, I think it's going to stay the same for now. Jeff Bezos is the richest man on the planet. Amazon is just fine, says DRK. Absolutely. This is why I say this is not a best strategy for Tesla either. Steve Wright in the chat room says it will be a game changer when Formula E charges during a pit stop instead of swapping cars. That's actually not a bad point. Monkey Wright says, I was thinking of having a bet on the first mainstream car company to go out of business. I'm thinking BMW. Who's your money on? Well, I'm not a betting man myself, I have to say. Neither I want to, suggest anything that will lose people money. But that's a good question. You know what? I don't want to answer it right now because I think I want to think about that. Yeah, because like some companies that like Honda, Toyota, and BMW, they're not doing that well with electric cars, even though BMW has an i3. And so I expect them to be behind, but you never know. These companies can be sitting on the sidelines figuring out which technology is going to win, and then boom, invest a lot of money, a lot of talent as far as a workforce is concerned, and create something very quickly. So that's something me and Nikki discussed in our interview. So that is a possibility. So I think it's a little too early to make those predictions, to be honest with you. Hybrids burn gas and need more maintenance than pure EVs. No, thank you, says Mark. Yeah, that's another thing. Obviously, maintenance is higher when you have both electric motor and a gas engine. Let's see. Steve also says forward wheel drive gives a crumble zone for safety as well as extra space. I'm surprised that Nissan and the rest have not gone this way. Actually, is that true? I thought always when you don't have anything in the front where you're able to kind of control the crumble zone better, I think that benefits. I think that's why Teslas do very well with the front crash tests. I was kind of impression because that's the case, as long as you can control how the how the front of the car kind of deforms as it hits something. So I think having stuff inside there only hurts the cause. Let's see. The front wheel drive is already factored into the front space. We do not expect any changes, says Cook. Well, that's another good point. Diesels have better range than EVs, says Robert. After all, we all die. The only survivors will be cockroaches and Volkswagen diesels. I don't know if you're joking, Robert, but again, what do you mean have better range? A lot of gas cars have a better range than electric cars. That's sort of what the whole race to the battery technology is about right now. So I don't know, again, where are you going with this? After all, we die. The only survivors. Listen, if you want to die early from diesel fumes, that's fine. I don't. That's the only way how I know how to answer that. You puzzle me with your statements, I have to say. Are electric vehicles really good for the earth, says Tan? Well, okay, first of all, let's say that, right now that we can do better with the way we recycle lithium-ion batteries. I mean, that technology also needs to catch up, though it is possible. But electric car vehicles are good for environment simply because they don't pollute. I mean, they just don't pollute the air. And if you get electricity from green sources like solar energy and wind energy and so forth, then you really have zero emissions in any type of way. And if you've been to large cities like Los Angeles and a lot of major cities in China and a lot of cities in Europe in general, you see how thick the smoke is there. You breathe that every day, and again, there's, I believe, 72,000 fume lung disease related deaths that are linked to the emissions of gas and diesel. So that's how it would help all of us. So I'm wondering if so yes, Dan, it's very good for Earth. I think Mazda might go under, says Steve. I love the way the Mazda design their cars, but you're right, they're not really good with their electric technologies yet. Mark says, whoever is focusing on fuel cells and no electric vehicle is going to go bankrupt first. Well, that's Hyundai and Toyota. So there you go. But don't forget, fuel cell cars are still electric vehicles. He probably meant battery powered electric vehicles. But yeah, hydrogen fuel cells are definitely electric cars. It's just a matter that they have a different energy source. but the powertrain is electric. Jonathan says bye-bye Fiat. Well, Fiat actually has an electric version. I think that's relatively okay, but they're small cars, so I think for them to electrify their fleet is going to be relatively simple because it's not, the cars are not as heavy and big, and people kind of accepted that Fiats are small. FCA, first to go out of business, they hate electric cars, says Fabio. There's another bet. Let's see. Mark says real wheel drive due to amount of torque delivered. Front wheel drive would affect steering. That's actually interesting as well. Your caps lock is on, by the way. Let's see. Frosty Flake says the LG Cam graphene balls tech is 40 to 60% more improvement in charge speed. Yeah, so the graphene, you know, solid state batteries just in general definitely have just more resistance, less resistance. They perform better in different weather conditions, unlike lithium-ion batteries, and also they are much lighter. So and yes, they're coming into cell phones. You know, solid-state batteries are out there already for other products. It's just much harder to do it for electric cars. Wow, 37 degrees in southern Ohio, says Lover Boyman. All right, good to know. Come on, be truthful, says Nigel. Objective, leave ugly plug-in hybrid steering stone. Toyota plug-ins from actually driving latest car. Noise and little tiny batteries, somewhat allowing tax breaks. Nigel, I have to say I'm a little confused by your statement, but I think we're on the same page from what I'm reading. Maybe I've just been on air for too long. Tan Tran may be a troll, says Kook. Well, I mean, I'm kind of getting in the, but his questions are okay. Maybe he's like, sometimes like there's some like teenagers get in here and they try to talk, and I'm okay with that because that's our next generation who needs to support the electric car. So sometimes I don't mind. He doesn't seem to be trolling just yet, but if he does, I will definitely make sure to take care of that. Let's see. My diesel has lasted 21 years and could do another 10, and the fuel economy is about 1,000 kilometers on the tank. It is noisy. It can be smelly. It is definitely smelly. You can use biofuel. My next car will be the Model 3 this year. Well, all right, man. You're going from diesel all the way to electric car. Congratulations. And I think the world thanks you and people like you. But yeah, you're right. I mean, diesel cars, they do go further on the fuel, and they last much longer. I mean, that's not a secret. 10 says, sorry, I like EVs and I'm thinking about buying an EV when I grow up. See, how old are you, 10? Just wondering. See, that's exactly what I thought. I thought he was just a kid wondering about the new technology, which I'm all for. I appreciate, you know, kids who or teenagers who are growing up already thinking ahead. You know, I wish more adults do that. Loverboy Man says combine solar panels with EVs and you have a winning combination. You would be right if that technology would be here. It is not. You cannot. The solar panels are not solar panels, and that technology is not efficient enough right now to just have such a small area to power such a large battery or such a large demand on electricity. On top of that, don't forget solar panels are still relatively heavy, so you are putting a lot of extra weight on the car. And not generating enough energy, so a lot of times it's just not worth it at this point. But yeah, at some point when it's available, when the technology is there, yeah, absolutely. Let's see. 10 says I am just 10 and I love tech. He says, see, there you go. 10, I appreciate it, and I appreciate your generation that is looking forward. And looks like by the time you grow up, electric cars are not going to be a novelty. It will be something that everybody drives, and people will be like, oh my God, remember we used to drive these gas cars? Like, we had to go and get this smelly fluid that we pump from underneath the earth surface, and we had to blow it up underneath our hoods like 1,000 times. It used to smell just to, get going. Man, that was some barbaric time. So anyway, yes, 10. So thank you so much for watching. I hope I earned a subscriber today. As a matter of fact, guys, if you're watching but haven't subscribed, please go ahead and click on the subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. But most importantly, become a part of this community. This community is awesome. Like I said, I love doing this on Sundays and every day. Every day, 11 a.m. guys, we don't go for as long, about 10-15 minutes. But on Sundays we do, because we review everything that's happened during the week. Nigel says, I wish I was 10. I will be dead soon. You and I together, man. You and I together. I already subscribed, so 10. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy my daily live news shows. So yeah, guys, this week has been full of this amazing news. I appreciate you sticking around with me and hanging out with me on this Sunday afternoon. I will let you guys know tomorrow, the day after, if my interview with a Russian state TV, which supposedly gets like insane amount of viewers, like 10 to 20 million viewers might have watched me earlier today in Russia and in Russian speaking communities around the world. I think that's kind of crazy, if you ask me, but that was exciting. If I have a clip from that show, I'll definitely feature it either on tomorrow or on Tuesday's show. But my voice is going, as you can see, and I got a lot of plans with my girlfriend this afternoon. I hope you guys have a great Sunday, the rest of your Sunday. If it's at the end of your Sunday, I hope you have a great work day tomorrow. I hope to see you tomorrow here at 11 a.m. We're gonna talk about the Monday news, which I'm sure there will be plenty. Until then, guys, please remember to stay charged.